Tonight, 3 Christmas stories. Some things should never come down the chimney. At exactly 11:59 p.m., the city went dark all at once. Not gradually and not by district, but instantly, as if someone had reached down and switched the entire place off with a single deliberate motion. No warning followed, no explosion, no distant sirens, just a sudden absence of light that swallowed streets, apartments, storefronts, and living rooms in the same breath. Phones died, radios cut out, battery clocks froze mid-blink. For one full minute, the city existed without time. People stood near windows, candles half lit, counting in their heads, waiting for midnight to arrive the way it always did, slow and ceremonial, dragging the old year behind it. But midnight never came. When the lights returned, they did so gently, without a surge, without a flicker, as if nothing unusual had happened at all. Every clock read the same thing, 11:59, not blinking, not changing. Oven displays, wall clocks, car dashboards, all frozen 1 minute before the year was supposed to end. People laughed at first, calling it a glitch, a coincidence, some shared error caused by the outage. Someone joked that the city had decided to take its time. But time did not move. Seconds passed, measured by breath and heartbeat, but nothing crossed over. Fireworks never launched. Church bells stayed silent. The air felt wrong, heavy, as if the night itself was waiting for permission to continue. That was when the knocking started. Not everywhere at once. One door, then another. Measured knocks, slow and deliberate, never rushed, never angry, as if whoever stood outside had nowhere else to be. Voices followed, not shouting, begging. Let us in before the year changes. The words were the same everywhere, spoken in different voices, different accents, but always with the same careful urgency, as if rehearsed. People checked peepholes. No one stood there. The knocking came from the door itself, from inside the frame, from the wood, from the space where something waited but could not be seen. Some opened their doors. Nothing entered. Nothing stood outside. But the knocking stopped. Those houses never heard it again. Other doors stayed closed. The knocking continued. Hour after hour, the city remained suspended, clocks unmoving, phones still showing the same minute, the same frozen promise of a future that refused to arrive. People grew tired. Exhaustion settled without time to measure it. Children cried, not from fear, but from a strange, instinctive sadness, like something important had been missed. Outside, the sky never changed. No dawn, no deeper night. Just 11:59. The knocking became louder, closer. As if whatever was outside was learning where people lived, learning who hesitated, learning who still believed the year might change on its own. Somewhere, someone finally asked the question no one wanted to voice. What happens if midnight never comes? No one answered, because the knocking did. And it was no longer asking, let us in before the year changes. The clocks never moved, and whatever waited outside grew very patient, standing between seconds, knowing that as long as time refused to advance, the doors would eventually open. The cameras recorded him at exactly 11:59 p.m., not a second earlier and never a second later, appearing on screens across the city as if he had been synchronized with the minute itself. He did not rush,
did not hesitate, and did not look around the way people do when they are unsure whether they belong somewhere. He walked up to front doors calmly, stopped, and waited. He never rang the bell, never knocked. The doors opened on their own. Deadbolts slid back without sound. Chains loosened as if gently lifted by unseen hands, and front doors drifted inward just enough to invite him inside. The cameras showed no force, no broken locks, no damage, no alarms. He stepped into living rooms, kitchens, hallways, and bedrooms like a guest arriving late to a party he had never been invited to. He wore no costume, no coat, no sign of the cold. His face was always visible, yet impossible to remember, as if the mind refused to keep it once the eyes looked away. The footage showed him pausing in each home, standing still for several seconds, sometimes minutes, as if listening to something deeper than sound. He never touched valuables. Phones remained on tables, wallets stayed in drawers, children slept undisturbed. Instead, he would stop near doorways, at the foot of beds, or beside family photos hanging crooked on the walls. In several recordings, he leaned slightly forward, not toward people, but toward empty space, as if addressing something that was already there. Then he would straighten, turn calmly, and leave. Every visit ended before midnight. At exactly 12 a.m., the cameras showed nothing at all. No blur, no distortion, no trace of him exiting. Just an empty frame where he had been moments before. In the morning, the homeowners reported no break-ins, no missing objects, and no sign that anyone had been inside at all. At first.
But everyone said the same thing. The house felt lighter, not cleaner, not emptier in a way that could be measured. Just wrong. Parents said breakfast was quieter, even when children spoke. Couples said conversations felt unfinished, as if one person kept responding too late or not at all. Children complained of missing something they could not name, something important. Pets avoided certain rooms, corners, doorways. Several people reported standing in their homes, suddenly convinced someone should be there with them. Not a stranger, not a memory, but something that had belonged. Hospitals reported no deaths that night, no disappearances, no missing persons. Yet something had gone, not taken, released. In the final piece of footage recovered, the man stopped in one doorway longer than usual and looked directly into the camera. For the first time, he smiled. Not with kindness, not with cruelty, with recognition, as if the house had given him exactly what he came for. The timestamp read 11:59, and when the year changed, the guest was gone, leaving behind homes that still stood full of people, yet somehow contained less of who they used to be. The children woke up because the house sounded different, not louder and not quieter, but wrong in a way that made sleep impossible to return to once it had been disturbed. It wasn't footsteps or voices that pulled them from their beds, but a low, unfamiliar presence, the kind you feel before you understand it, like someone standing too close in the dark. They whispered to each other from their beds, asking if the other one heard it too, though neither of them could explain what it actually was. Downstairs, the living room camera activated on its own. The footage later showed a figure dressed in a Santa suit standing beside the Christmas tree, positioned just close enough that the branches bent slightly toward him, as if responding to his weight or his attention. He did not move. Not when the heater turned on, not when the lights flickered, not when the tree needles slowly settled onto the floor. Hours passed. The figure remained. The red suit looked old, darker than it should have been, absorbing the light instead of reflecting it, while the white trim hung heavy and uneven, like it had been damp before freezing. His face was completely hidden in shadow, not because of the camera angle, but because the darkness around his head seemed thicker, refusing to let details exist. At no point did he raise his arms. At no point did he breathe. He simply stood there, as if waiting for something that had already begun. When the father woke up, it was because the house felt occupied in a way that had nothing to do with family. He checked the doors. Locked. Windows. Closed. Nothing was broken, nothing was forced. Only then did he open the camera feed. The Santa was still there, still unmoving, but now he was facing away from the camera. The father adjusted the angle, zoomed slightly, expecting to see the figure looking toward the tree, or the fireplace, or the empty couch. He was wrong. The figure was facing the hallway. Not just the hallway, the children's door. The Santa stood perfectly still, back turned to the camera, head tilted just enough to suggest focus, as if he had been watching the bedroom long before anyone noticed him. The timestamp showed he had not moved for over 3 hours, not an inch. The children said later that they felt watched the entire time, not threatened, chosen. The father deleted the footage before dawn. He told no one. The tree was gone by morning, taken outside, cut apart, thrown away. But the feeling stayed, because whatever stood in their living room that night never knocked, never moved, and never needed permission to be there. And on Christmas morning, the children opened their gifts in silence, each of them certain of the same thing. Santa had already come, and he had been waiting.